She signed the divorce papers with shaking hands, while Christmas lights flickered behind her, their soft glow mocking the collapse of her life. Tears slipped silently down her cheeks, landing on the ink before it dried, as laughter and music filled the grand hall around her. No one noticed, no one cared. To everyone watching, she was just another broken woman at a holiday party, quietly erased from a marriage that had already nipped her soul dry. What no one knew was that this moment, the lowest point of her life, was standing on the edge of something so powerful it would change everything. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that life can turn around even after its darkest moments, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are still hurting. Her name was Eliza Moore, and for most of her life she had learned how to disappear in plain sight. Raised by a single mother who worked double shifts and never complained, Eliza learned early that love meant sacrifice and silence. She married young, believing devotion would be enough, believing loyalty could fix what ambition and ego destroyed. Her husband, Daniel, came from a world where appearances mattered more than truth. He loved the image of a supportive wife, not the woman who stayed awake worrying about bills, miscarriages, and dreams slowly dying behind polite smiles. The Christmas party was Daniel's idea. A final performance, he called it. One last gathering with his colleagues, investors, and friends before they announced the divorce publicly. Eliza wore a simple red dress, borrowed from a friend, her hair neatly tied back, her makeup carefully done to hide weeks of sleepless nights. She had begged him not to do this tonight, not on Christmas, not in front of strangers. But Daniel insisted. He said closure mattered. What he really meant was control. As guests toasted champagne and praised Daniel's rising career, Eliza sat at the edge of the room, divorce papers folded in her purse like a quiet execution order. She felt invisible, except when someone glanced at her with polite pity. No one knew how much she had given up for this marriage. No one knew she had once been brilliant, hopeful, full of plans that never survived his shadow. When the moment came, Daniel placed the papers in front of her with a practiced calm. Cameras flashed nearby as someone documented the party for social media. Eliza hesitated, her fingers trembling as she signed her name. Each letter felt like a goodbye to the woman she used to be. Tears blurred her vision, but she signed anyway. Applause erupted somewhere behind her, someone announcing a toast, and life went on as if her heart had not just shattered. After signing, Eliza slipped away from the hall and into the cold night air. Snow drifted down softly, settling on her hair and shoulders. She breathed deeply, trying to steady herself, reminding herself that pain eventually passes. What she didn't realize was that this night was not ending her story. It was beginning it. What no one at that party knew was that Eliza Moore was not just a discarded wife with no future. She was the sole heir to a financial empire worth billions. Her grandfather, a self-made billionaire known for his secrecy and discipline, had raised her in quiet observation. He taught her humility, patience, and the value of anonymity. He believed wealth should never announce itself before character did. Years earlier, when Eliza chose to marry Daniel against her family's wishes, her grandfather made one condition. She would live without his name, without his money, until she learned who truly loved her. Eliza agreed, believing love was enough. She never told Daniel about her inheritance. She wanted to be chosen for who she was, not what she owned. What Eliza didn't know was that her grandfather had been watching everything. The sacrifices, the disrespect, the emotional neglect. And the moment she signed those divorce papers in tears at that Christmas party, something shifted. 2 days later, while Eliza sat alone in her small rented apartment, surrounded by boxes of memories she didn't know how to unpack, she received a letter sealed with a familiar crest. Her grandfather had passed away quietly in his sleep. Along with the grief came a revelation that left her breathless. He had left everything to her, every company, every property, every investment. The letter was not just legal documentation, it was a message of love, apology, and faith. He wrote that he had waited long enough. He wrote that she had proven her strength, her humility, and her heart. He wrote that she was ready. The days that followed felt unreal. Lawyers, advisors, and executives filled her small apartment, addressing her with respect she had never received before. Eliza listened quietly, absorbing the magnitude of what had been placed in her hands. But wealth did not erase her pain. It didn't undo the humiliation or the nights she cried herself to sleep. What it gave her was choice. Instead of revenge, Eliza chose growth. Instead of exposure, she chose silence. She moved carefully, rebuilding herself from the inside out. She invested in businesses that supported struggling families, funded scholarships for young women, and created safe spaces for those leaving toxic relationships. Her name slowly became known in powerful circles, but she never chased attention. Months later, another Christmas arrived. The same hall hosted another party, this time organized by a charitable foundation. Daniel attended, unaware of who stood behind the event. He had fallen on difficult times. His career stalled, his reputation quietly weakened by his own arrogance. When Eliza entered the room, heads turned. She wore confidence like a second skin, her presence calm, steady, undeniable. Daniel didn't recognize her at first, not until she stood on stage to thank everyone for supporting the foundation. Not until her name was announced, followed by her title. The room fell silent as realization spread. The woman he had discarded in tears was now the most powerful person in the room. Eliza didn't look at him with anger. She didn't humiliate him. She simply spoke about resilience, about quiet strength, about how pain can be the birthplace of purpose. Her words were gentle but firm, and they reached places Daniel didn't know were still raw. In that moment, Eliza understood something profound. Closure was never about revenge or validation. It was about reclaiming herself. As the night ended, snow fell again, just like the year before. But this time, Eliza stood tall, surrounded by people who valued her voice, her vision, and her heart. She had walked through betrayal, loss, and humiliation, and emerged with compassion instead of bitterness. If this story has touched your heart so far, please pause for a moment and comment below. Tell us what this story made you feel, or share a moment when life surprised you after heartbreak. Your words matter more than you know. Eliza never forgot the night she signed those papers in tears. She didn't erase it from her memory. She honored it, because without that moment she would never have learned her worth. She would never have stepped into her power. She would never have become the woman who turned pain into purpose. Sometimes life breaks us in public so we can rebuild ourselves in private. Sometimes the moment that feels like the end is only the universe clearing space for something greater. And if this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that even your lowest moments can lead to extraordinary beginnings, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps keep stories of resilience, kindness, and second chances alive. Remember this, and carry it with you. No one needs to know your worth today for it to change your tomorrow.